Good morning, everyone. Welcome to This Day. Today is Thursday, and it's April 23rd. Now, I wanted to let you know who is on our show today. We have the third update with Steve Parsons, and he is such a nice guy. He really went through a lot of the details and some really good updates for us, so we'll have that for you today. And then we'll also have the Orange County Fire Authority PIO Greg Marta. They had to hire 3 new PIOs just to handle everything going on with COVID-19 and coronavirus and lots of different things that he wanted to tell us about. So when you do have an emergency, you won't be alarmed. Now, I do have another very fun question for you, a little brain teaser. So let me read it. It's kind of long this time. 14 of the kids in the class are girls. 8 of the kids wear blue shirts. 2 of the kids are neither girls or wear a blue shirt. And if 5 of the kids are girls who wear blue shirts, how many kids are in the class? So that's kind of a long one. So take a look at that again, and then I will give you the answer later in our program. All right, moving on to our information that you can get on a regular basis. Now, I just wanted to give you a distinction between the two. The CDC.gov is where you can get all the information that the CDC has been giving out to us in regards to the stay at home, wearing masks, all of that kind of information. And then the OCHealthInfo.com is different because that's where you're going to find local Orange County information regarding numbers, by city, by county, how many, and that type of thing. So those are 2 different really good resources for you to use regarding that. Then, of course, you can always go to our website, which is a dedicated website, LagunaWoodsVillageAlerts.com. That'll have all the COVID-19 information regarding your community, as well as other things like deliveries and groceries and things like that. You could always email us at info@LagunaWoodsVillage.com. Or you could go to our hotline, which is recorded and updated on a regular basis, 949-268-2019. Now, let's take a look at our weather. It is looking really nice. I mean, no clouds and very warm. So we've got 84, 55 sunshine today. Then we've got Friday, which is going to be kind of warm, 91, 65. Then we have Saturday, 86, 62. And then Sunday, pleasant, 80, 60. And then Monday, we're going to get a little cooler, 79, 61. Now, let's take a look at our sunrise and sunset. Our sunrise this morning was at 6:10 a.m. and our sunset was 7:28. And look at that beautiful photo. Mark Rabinowitz, thank you so much. It's absolutely beautiful. And then if you have a beautiful photo, it doesn't matter what it is, something local would be lovely. You can send it to us at LagunaWoodsVillageTV@gmail.com. And we will be right back after this with a Steve Parsons update. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Well, today I am joined via Zoom interview by Steve Parsons, who's going to give us an update on the third meeting. Well, welcome. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing with the stay-at-home thing?
It's a little tough at times. I'd rather be out and about meeting people.
Exactly. I know. As social people, I think this is a lot harder on us than those that want to stay home.
Yeah, especially with a mask.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, hopefully things will get better soon. But in the meantime, could you give us an update about what was going on at the third meeting?
Sure. A couple housekeeping things right away. One is I'd like to talk about tree trimming. And we were told that we're on a species trimming schedule now.
Okay.
So it's not just going to be one area. Everything is shaved down. We work with the different species, and which is a lot better.
Okay.
And also, we got a new tub grinder that grinds tree limbs and things like that into mulch.
that's
And we
great.
generated so much mulch that you're going to see a lot more mulching of flower beds and things taking place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Also, recently, people may have noticed that we didn't have a bulk item pickup. That was canceled, and I guess the word didn't get around to some people. So we're asking people to bring those items back in, but to call resident services, and they'll schedule a pickup time.
Okay.
So that's pretty important right now. I'd like to go into the resolutions that we passed because these are very, very important to people, and we've been working on them for probably a year or so.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing I'd like to get into is the KPMG audit. And they issued an unmodified position. What this means is I'll give you the different categories. In outstanding matters, they recorded none. Uncorrected or corrected misstatements, none. Significant internal control matters, none.
Okay.
And they went into some other things too, and they were all negative. So what some of us would title this is a clean audit. There was nothing to be taken care of, no adjustments financially, which is great because we've had those in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a welcome relief, and we're moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
The first resolution is a leasing cap and lease waiting list policy.
Mm-hmm.
As you might have noticed over the past year or so, we've accelerated in the number of leasings of units. We've gone up from 27 point something to now we're at 28.3% and climbing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is significant because our CCNRs require that we're at 30% or less. So
Wow.
we have come up with a policy which will include a waiting list, and people will, if they want to lease something, they'll come over and find out where the waiting list is and whether or not they can jump into it right away. So that'll save them a lot of time if they want to buy a unit. They may say, well, I'm going to hold off on it, or I'll go ahead and hold it till I get on the list.
I see.
So anyway, this is going to be a real-time database that Chuck is working on and Pamela Bashline. So you may say, well, why a cap? Well, there are different scenarios here that we need to take into consideration. Some of the scenarios are some people in the past were grandfathered in with certain units. We've covered that whole scenario. We also have snowbirds that take off in their RVs in the summer. They like to lease out at that time. So we've taken that into consideration. And there are other things involved with this too. It's too lengthy to go into now, but with all these resolutions, I would ask you to go online, read them, and we've gotten a lot of feedback on them. So we've tried to take different people's ideas into consideration as we went through those. That's why it's taken some of these so long.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on to harassment policy. This may seem like it's very easy, but it isn't, because the federal process got involved and the California process got involved. So let me just start with a couple definitions here. Under federal law, harassment is defined to mean a serious act or a course of conduct directed at a specific person that causes substantial emotional distress in such person and serves no legitimate purpose. Further expounding on that, California law says the course must be such as would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial emotional distress to the petitioner. Then they break it down to course of conduct and credible threat of violence. Now, why is this so important to us? Okay, back a few years ago, HUD at the federal level started looking at this, and they came up with some guidelines, and it really threw the onus on us to get involved. And I'll just read a portion that came from our lawyer on this. Third is considered a housing provider, and as such, we are required to evaluate alleged harassment, to investigate whether a resident is being subject to harassment, and so forth. Third is required to investigate all reported claims of potential harassment of members or residents, and as appropriate, take all action permitted under the governing documents to address such harassing behavior. Now, one of the things on this is if we have to elevate a particular situation to a local agency or to a judge maybe, we have to show that we have done everything that we can before it goes forward. Before, we didn't have to necessarily do all these steps.
Right.
So now we anticipate it's going to cost us more to handle these cases. It's going to take more time of staff, especially compliance, and even possibly social services. So that is very significant. And I would ask that people, again, go online and read the harassment policy. And if needs be, there are reporting procedures, who to call for what, and what some of the enforcement provisions would be.
Okay. Wow.
I don't want to get in too deep on these because everybody tends to have their own slant on things and their own specific situation.
Okay.
Okay, on to the nuisance policy. Civil Code 3479 defines nuisance in general as anything which is injurious to health, indecent, or offensive to the senses, cause an unreasonable disturbance or annoyance, or an obstruction to the free use of property, so as to interface with the comfortable enjoyment of life or property, is a nuisance. Okay? It's a duty of the board, according to our CC&Rs, to investigate these things. And here again, people may be brought before an executive hearing for disciplinary action or possibly legal intervention if necessary.
Okay.
So there's also reporting procedures. Some of these phone numbers you'll see in here are different for different types of cases.
Okay.
So be careful as you're reading through it. Okay. Another one of the resolutions we passed was a good standing policy. I know there was a lot of confusion in the past with what Senate Bill 323 that was amended by California Civil Codes did and legal interpretations. Now it's kind of settled down where legal representatives are getting together and they're refining what's going on. So in our policy, I'll just read three things that deal with people in good standing. It says not delinquent in payment of any assessment or related charge to the mutual. Number two, not currently in violation of the provisions of the governing documents. And number three, not currently subject to disciplinary action imposed by the board of directors after a duly noticed hearing in accordance with disciplinary procedures for a violation of the governing documents, including any suspension of membership privileges as may be permitted by law or ongoing unpaid fines. So some of the provisions we had in the past were a little bit refined, but still remain. This, again, is a policy that's very lengthy. When I say lengthy, some of these are up to 10 pages long.
Oh, yeah.
So we can't get into it. Okay. But we have gotten feedback on all of these from different people, including other lawyers who live here, people who are very concerned about their specific situation. We've taken that into consideration. So those are the big things that came out yesterday. And I think Jeff mentioned several things on his Wednesday broadcast that dealt with reopening. We are working with staff looking at things like that. It's a little premature to say when we're going to do something or what that is going to be.
Yes.
But we want you to know that hope is on the horizon and things will be happening. Other communities are starting to open up a little bit throughout the state. Some beaches may be opening, golf courses, things like that. We have to look at this in a whole different light, simply because we are a senior community.
Exactly.
So Jeff is staying in contact and the staff staying in contact with a lot of agencies, including the governor's office.
Yes.
So I'm sure we'll have a plan that will be coming out soon, probably within 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll be able to move forward on it. So once again, appreciate everybody wearing their masks, talking to people, not going into seclusion, watching over their neighbors and saying hi when they're out walking. That's really a beautiful thing. And thank God for the beautiful weather.
Oh, I know. And that's going to keep people from staying inside, I'm sure. But one thing that's kind of nice is I know there was discussion last month and it's gone into this month is, kindness. And I know that was kind of a big push. And I think people are really doing that a lot. As you mentioned, people are kind, they're helping people. It really has brought the community together. And all of you guys are doing such a good job on your virtual meetings too.
Yeah, it's coming along. And it's so refreshing when you're out walking, people will say hi. And you kind of know that they're smiling under their mask.
I think we want to draw little smiles on their masks.
That's right.
So then you know you're
smiling.
All right. Well, Steve, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and stay healthy out there.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
All right, we'll see you next time. And thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm John Bowser Bauman. You probably know me best as Bowser from Sha-Na-Na, but I'm also president of Social Security Works PAC. And you know, when I'm in Laguna Woods, I always watch Village Television. Grease for peace.
Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Orange County Fire Authority PIO, Greg Marta. Well, Greg, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, what is it like on the front lines out there? I mean, obviously things have changed quite a bit. Tell me a little bit about what you're seeing.
Yeah, so on the front lines, I'm going to give you a little comparison. Everything is the exact same way it used to be. Meanwhile, everything has completely changed. So what you'll see, or what we see that's the exact same, is we still obviously respond to our calls and with the exact same professionalism that we always do. And if anybody in the community needs us, they call 911. They're going to get our highly trained professional firefighters and paramedics. So that's the same. We're still responding on the calls. Our staffing is still the same. We're still operating the same.
Right.
However, obviously we've made quite a few changes that have changed things for us. Most notably, on calls, when we actually arrive on calls and through our dispatch procedures. So in the unfortunate event that somebody needs to call 911, the first thing they're going to notice that is different is that our dispatchers are using enhanced dispatch and questioning techniques. Right. So they're asking additional questions to kind of try and ascertain, is the call we're going on, is there a potential for coronavirus? Is there any signs and symptoms that may lead us to believe that that's the case? And then they relay that to our responding crews. Right. And then obviously our crews, they're taking that information to kind of prepare themselves for when they arrive on scene. And then what you'll really notice is, our men and women are utilizing enhanced personal protective equipment.
Right.
Obviously, our safety is of the utmost importance for both us and the community. And we're using that enhanced PPE. So you'll see our folks now, not just in gloves, but they're definitely going to be in goggles, a mask, a full gown. So kind of that additional stuff to protect us and safeguard the community. And what we're seeing out there, which is totally understandable, is a lot of nervous people, a lot of stressed people. Obviously, there's so much change going on. People are having to stay at home. They're, not leaving the house. And then obviously if they're calling us, there's something going on. Many times that's medical. And a lot of people are nervous. They want to, do they have the coronavirus? Are they going to be safe when they go to the hospital because of the coronavirus? So there's just a lot of questions and unknowns that, people have. And we're seeing that, we're living it. Right. And obviously we're trying to help usher people through that and guide them and help them like we always do.
Right.
And then obviously we're following all the same guidelines everybody else is, right, to the best that is feasible. When we're at our fire stations, we're maintaining social distance. We're, kind of staying away from each other, not getting too close, washing our hands. I mean, everything that the CDC and Orange County Health recommends, we're following too. So I just kind of urge everybody to do that. And that's kind of what we're seeing out there right now.
Okay. And then you mentioned you have changed some of your procedures as well as what you wear out in the field for COVID-19. But let's also talk a little bit about those who do have an emergency, but maybe they're afraid to call 911 because they, like you said, they don't want to go to the hospital because they're afraid of getting coronavirus. What would you say to those people who are maybe afraid to call 911 in an emergency?
Well, I mean, the first thing I would say is I understand why you're scared. This is a scary environment. I can't remember the last time we lived through a pandemic. So, obviously it's not something we're accustomed to. Mm-hmm. However, you don't want to play Jeopardy with your life. And if you're having any kind of medical issue, please call us. Don't just stay home out of fear. We're going to help guide you. And we're providing the safest environment possible in the pre-hospital setting. And then I know the hospitals as well, they're taking it, to the nth degree as far as, cleanliness, providing safety in the hospital. They're right. Isolating those that are infected with the coronavirus, they have procedures in place to ensure your safety.
Right.
So you don't want to do that, because a really bad outcome could happen if you choose not to call 911 out of fear. And obviously we completely understand where, people are coming from right now. And, we're going to be there to try and reassure you and guide you through that process.
Right.
But yeah, please don't not call 911. That's the wrong thing to do. Okay.
Okay. If someone was to call 911 and it wasn't an emergency, and then you were to arrive at their home, what else is different about you coming to their home?
You're saying if it was not an emergency, or
well, if it was an emergency, anytime you go to their homes, what are some things that you're doing a little bit differently?
Yeah. So kind of like we touched on a minute ago, obviously when you call 911, our dispatchers are using that enhanced dispatch technique. They're going to ask you some additional questions, just to try and find out, do you have any signs and symptoms that potentially could be coronavirus related? Have you traveled recently? Things of that nature, just to relay to our responding crews.
Okay.
And then one thing they're going to ask you to do, if at all possible, is to meet us outside. Okay. So if you do call 911, don't be shocked if our dispatchers ask you, if possible, and we know sometimes it's not feasible, to meet us outside in an open environment. And that's for obvious reasons. We can it's an open area, not confined. We can maintain a little more appropriate distancing.
Right.
So you will notice that difference, that instead of us, always just coming into a residence like we do, we are going to request that. Now, however, if it's not possible, we understand that, and we'll be in there to help you. And then expect to see our responding folks, our firefighters and paramedics, in enhanced personal protective equipment. You're going to see them in goggles. You're going to see them wearing a mask. You're going to see them with their gloves on. You're going to see them, most likely in some type of a suit or gown.
Right.
And it's purely out of caution to prevent spread to you, to us. We want to maintain that safe environment. So, and one other thing you may notice is many times, if you don't have a mask on already, our crews are going to come and place a mask over your face initially.
Yeah.
As long as it's possible and you're not having some type of breathing emergency that prevents that.
Right.
Just, again, following the CDC guidelines, and it keeps us safe, keeps you safe. And I know everybody's used to, when they call 911, all of us come, rushing in and get right next to the patient, and everybody wants to help them. What we've done now is we're having one person get within that socially distant space, up close to you, touching, you performing the assessment, and the rest of the crew is maintaining that safe distance.
Okay.
So you might notice that difference. Obviously, if the call warrants more than one person being within that space, we do what's necessary to obviously help anybody that calls. So, but those are some of the differences you may see.
Well, you're certainly prepared, and that's excellent. And I don't think we expected anything differently from you guys. So that's perfect. Now, in regards to, stay-at-home orders, as well as other things that we can do, talk to me a little bit about some of the precautions that our community should be doing.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first thing I can recommend is following the CDC and Orange County Health's guidelines, which is what we at Orange County Fire are doing. And really what I would recommend is obviously maintain social distancing and stay at home. Obviously, we've been doing that for a while now, and I know it's difficult for everybody, and it's not the funnest thing, and it's not what we're used to, but it is a necessity for the time being. So please stay at home. And then while you're at home, practice some of those things that you can control, washing your hands often, maintaining a clean house, just clean more often than you normally would, kind of all those things. And if you do have to go out to obviously grocery shop and whatnot, make sure you have a mask on, maintain that distance away from people. And if you can bring some sanitary wipes to wipe down the shopping cart, although I know many of the facilities are already doing that, just try and give yourself the best odds. There's no guarantees, in this uncertain time, but give yourself the best odds of, being able to avoid potentially, contracting the disease.
All right. Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much for all that you do. Doctors, nurses, all the first responders, you guys are great. And so thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Well, did you get the answer? Let me read the question one more time from our brain cheeser. 14 of the kids in the class are girls. 8 of the kids wear blue shirts. 2 of the kids are neither girls or wear a blue shirt. If 5 of the kids are girls who wear blue shirts, how many kids are in the class? Well, our answer is there are 19 kids in the class. Now, if you figured this out, we need you to email us at Laguna Woods Village TV at gmail.com and tell us how you got it. Because so many people have been trying to get the answer. We're like, wait a minute, we didn't get 19. So make sure you email us how you got that answer. Now, there's a couple of things I wanted to tell you about. There's a really fun concert tonight that is put on by Matt Mauser. And I had mentioned to you that he had the new song, The Bike, the Green Bike. And he is such a nice guy. He used to perform here with Frank Sinatra impersonations. But tonight, it's at 7:30 p.m., and it is on Facebook. And if you have a Facebook account, you just type in Tijuana Dogs, and it'll bring you right to that. And like I said, it's live, and it's at 7:30. So that should be super fun. And he also said if you wanted to hear some songs, you would just post them in the comments when you're on there, and he'll try and get to your request. Also, there's some other fun stuff that's going on today. Concerts that are in your living room. We have a classical one, which is online, and that is at metopera.org. That's metopera.org. And that is at 4:30 this evening. And then there's a jazz one at 1 o'clock this afternoon. That's on Facebook, and you would type in STAPHANE Rembel, WREMBEL. Now, just something quite interesting for you that I wanted to mention. And actually, our makeup artist, Constance, says it's very fun. And it's Mahjong. You can do Mahjong online. So you basically can play American Mahjong online against computers and your friends on whatever device you're using. It's 2 weeks free, and then it's only $5 a month. So that is a screaming deal. And you would go to realmahjong.com. So I thought that was really a cool idea. Let's take a look at our weather one more time. Again, it's going to be very warm this week, super warm. We've got us well into the 80s today, 84, 65. Tomorrow it's going to hit 91, then Saturday 86, 62. Then it's going to be pleasant on Sunday, 80, 60, and then we're going to drop a little bit starting into Monday, 79, 61. That's all we have for you today. Join us tomorrow. We'll have another news broadcast at 9 o'clock. Have a great day in the village, and we'll see you tomorrow.